You'll never amount to anything, just like your pathetic mother, my stepmother Victoria announced at the family dinner table, twirling her wine glass as she delivered what she thought was the killing blow. I calmly closed my laptop, which had been displaying the Forbes 30 Under 30 announcement email I'd received that morning, and smiled at the woman who'd spent 8 years trying to erase me from my own family. Did she really think her designer clothes and my father's credit cards made her opinion worth more than my achievements? The dining room and my father's Manhattan brownstone fell silent, forks suspended midway to mouths. My half-siblings, Victoria's twins Brandon and Brittany, smirked from across the table with the confidence of 18-year-olds who'd never worked a day in their lives. My father Daniel stared into his bourbon like it might transport him somewhere else. His signature move when Victoria went on one of her tirades about my mother or me. "That's an interesting perspective, Victoria," I said, reopening my laptop with deliberate slowness. "Would you like to clarify which part of my life suggests I'll never amount to anything? The full scholarship to MIT? The tech startup I founded? Or should I skip ahead to this morning's email?" Victoria's perfectly Botoxed face tried to form a sneer, but the muscles weren't quite cooperating. "Oh please, Aria. We all know those little coding projects of yours are just hobbies. When are you going to get a real job? Maybe Brandon could put in a word for you at his internship." Brandon puffed up at the mention. His internship was at Victoria's brother's investment firm, where he spent most of his time making coffee runs and updating his Instagram stories from the office gym. But in Victoria's world, nepotism in a suit trumped innovation in a hoodie every time. "A real job," I repeated, savoring the moment I'd been waiting 8 years for. "You mean like being the CEO of a company valued at $50 million? Stop exaggerating," Brittany chimed in, examining her nails. "It's embarrassing when you lie like this." "Brittany's right," Victoria added, setting down her wine glass with practiced elegance. "This fantasy of yours needs to stop. You're 26 years old, living in some shared apartment in Brooklyn, playing with computers. Meanwhile, look at Brandon and Brittany. They're building real futures." I glanced at my father, waiting for him to say something, anything. But Daniel Kingston remained silent, as he had since the day he married Victoria when I was 18. The day she'd moved into our home and systematically began pushing out every trace of my mother, who died when I was 15. "Dad," I said quietly, "do you think I'll never amount to anything?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Aria, that's not," Victoria didn't mean. "Yes, I did," Victoria interrupted. "Someone needs to give her a reality check. She's wasting her life, and frankly, it's pathetic. If her mother could see her now." "Don't." The word came out sharper than I intended. "Don't you dare invoke my mother." "Why not?" "She was just as delusional as you are. An artist who thought she'd change the world with her paintings. Where did that get her? Dying broke in a hospital bed." The rage that flooded through me was familiar. I'd been swallowing it for 8 years. Every snide comment about my mother's failed art career. Every reminder that Victoria's MBA was worth more than my mother's MFA. Every implication that creativity and passion were somehow less valuable than connections and credit limits. "My mother died of cancer, not poverty," I said evenly. "And she sold more paintings in her lifetime than you've had original thoughts." "How dare you?" "I'm not finished." I turned my laptop screen toward the table. "Since you're so concerned about my future, let me share this morning's news." The Forbes 30 Under 30 page loaded, my photo prominent among the technology innovators. The headline read, "Aria Kingston, 26, the MIT dropout whose AI platform is revolutionizing creative industries." The silence was deafening. That's photoshopped," Brandon stammered. I clicked through to the full article. "Really? Forbes is pretty thorough with their fact-checking. Should I read the part about the $50 million Series B funding we just closed? Or the section about our 300 employees? Oh, here's a good bit. Kingston's platform bridges the gap between human creativity and artificial intelligence, honoring her late mother's artistic legacy while pushing technological boundaries." Victoria's face had gone pale beneath her bronzer. "This is some kind of mistake." "The only mistake," I said, "was letting you convince me I was worthless for the past 8 years. My father finally looked up from his bourbon, his eyes wide. $50 million. The company valuation, not my personal net worth. That's doing pretty well too." I pulled up another tab. Here's my team. 300 employees across 4 offices. We just signed partnerships with Adobe and Netflix. But sure, Brandon can still put in a word for me at his coffee fetching internship. I do more than fetch coffee, Brandon protested. Do you though? I asked. Because according to LinkedIn, you've been an intern for 2 years. That's not building a future, that's hiding from one. Brittany had grabbed my laptop, scrolling frantically. This can't be real. You live in Brooklyn. You wear the same jeans every time we see you. It's called prioritizing. I invested in my company instead of clothes. Shocking concept, I know. When did this happen? My father asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Why didn't you tell me? I looked at him for the first time in years. He seemed smaller somehow, diminished by his own choices. When would I have told you, Dad? During the family dinners where Victoria spent the entire time explaining why I was a disappointment. During the holidays when she forgot to set a place for me, or maybe during my college graduation that you missed because Brandon had a lacrosse game. That was an important game, Victoria muttered, but even she seemed to realize how hollow it sounded. More important than your daughter graduating summa cum laude from MIT. You dropped out, she shot back, grasping for any foothold. In my senior year, to focus on the company. Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg dropped out too. How did that work out for them? My phone buzzed. A text from my COO. CNN wants to move the interview to tomorrow. Confirm? Sorry, I need to handle this. I typed back quickly. CNN wants to interview me about the Forbes listing. Apparently, being one of the youngest tech CEOs in the country is newsworthy. Who knew? Victoria stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the hardwood. This is ridiculous. I don't care what some magazine says. You're still the same ungrateful girl, whoa. Who what? I stood too, matching her height in my beat-up Converse. Who refused to call you Mom, who wouldn't let you auction off my mother's paintings, who insisted on keeping her last name professionally? Guilty on all counts. Those paintings were worthless. The one you tried to sell last year just went for $40,000 at Sotheby's. I bought it, by the way. It's hanging in my office. The corner one with the Manhattan view. My father's head snapped up. You bought Eleanor's painting. I've bought 17 of them so far. Every time one comes up for auction. Did you know she has pieces in Milmany now? They're doing a retrospective next year. Eleanor Rivera, the bridge between traditional and digital art. I'm sponsoring it. Tears were forming in his eyes. Ellie would have been so proud of you. She was proud of me, I corrected. She told me every day. She's the one who taught me that creativity and technology didn't have to be enemies. That's literally the foundation of my entire company. Your mother was a dreamer, Victoria spat. Look where it got her. It got her a legacy, I shot back. What's yours going to be, Victoria? Professional trophy wife? Career gold digger? Mother of 2 kids who can't function without daddy's credit card? How dare you? No, how dare you? The words poured out, 8 years of silence breaking like a dam. How dare you move into our home and try to erase my mother? How dare you convince my father that success only looks like your narrow definition? How dare you spend nearly a decade telling me I'm worthless while contributing nothing to the world but consumption and criticism? I saved this family, Victoria shrieked. Your father was a mess when I met him. This house was a shrine to a dead woman. You were a weird, antisocial teenager who spent all her time on computers. Building the skills that made me a millionaire by 26. Money isn't everything. Really? Because it's all you've talked about since you got here. My lack of it, specifically. Well, surprise, I have more than you now. I have more than Dad. I could buy this brownstone tomorrow without blinking. Then why don't you? Brandon challenged, trying to salvage some dignity for his mother. Because I don't want it, I said simply. It stopped being home the day she moved in. My father flinched as if I'd slapped him. Aria? What, Dad? You want me to pretend the last 8 years didn't happen? Pretend you didn't choose her over me every single time? I never. My high school graduation, my MIT acceptance, my first product launch, Mom's birthday every year. You missed all of it because Victoria had something more important planned. Those weren't deliberate. Neither was your neglect, but the impact was the same. Victoria had recovered some of her composure, smoothing her dress with shaking hands. This changes nothing. You're still not welcome here. Victoria, my father said sharply. What? She just insulted our entire family. She called our children failures. If the Gucci shoe fits, I muttered. And accused me of being a gold digger. You literally told me on your wedding day that you'd earn this life by investing in the right man. Your words, not mine. That was taken out of context. The context was you explaining why I should be grateful you were willing to tolerate me until I turned 18. Brittany and Brandon were both on their phones now, probably Googling frantically to verify my claims. I saw Brandon's eyes widen as he found something. Holy shit, he breathed. Her company just got featured in TechCrunch. The unicorn in waiting. They're predicting $1 billion valuation within 2 years. Language, Brandon, Victoria said automatically, but her heart wasn't in it. She has a Wikipedia page, Brittany added, sounding stunned. With a whole section on awards and recognition. MIT Technology Reviews Innovator Under 35. Fast Company's most creative people in business. There's like 20 of them. 23, I corrected. 24 after today. My father was looking at me like he'd never seen me before. Why did he tell me any of this? I tried. Remember 2 years ago when I called to invite you to our series, A Celebration? Victoria answered and said you were busy. Last year when I was featured in the Wall Street Journal? You texted back saying, "That's nice, honey," and never mentioned it again. 6 months ago when President Obama name-dropped my company in a speech about innovation. Cricket. Obama mentioned you. His voice cracked. In a speech at MIT, about how young entrepreneurs are solving problems traditional industries ignore. But Brandon had a parents' weekend at Cornell, so that was important, Victoria said weakly. More important than the President of the United States recognizing his daughter's work? Silence. I'm done, I said, closing my laptop and standing. I'm done pretending this is a family. I'm done being treated like an inconvenience. I'm done letting you make me feel small because my success doesn't look like yours. Where are you going? My father asked. Back to my life, the one I built without any of you. My apartment might be in Brooklyn, but at least it's full of people who actually care about me. Aria, please, let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. Victoria's made it clear for 8 years that I don't belong here. The only difference now is that you all know what you've been rejecting. I headed for the door, my beat-up messenger bag slung over my shoulder. Victoria's voice followed me. You think you're so special because some magazine put you on a list? You're still the same antisocial girl who couldn't even. I turned back one last time. I am antisocial. I do prefer computers to most people. I did spend my teenage years coding instead of partying. And you know what? Those flaws built a company that employs 300 people. That helps artists monetize their work in the digital age. That honors my mother's memory every single day. Your mother was an artist, a dreamer, a believer in impossible things. She would have loved everything about my weird, antisocial, computer-obsessed life. Because she understood something you never will. Success isn't about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about breaking it entirely. My father stood up. Aria, wait. Please, we need to fix this. No, Dad, you need to fix this. I'm done trying to earn a place at a table that was never set for me. As I walked out, I heard Brandon whisper to Brittany, "Do you think she'd give me a job?" "Are you kidding?" Victoria hissed. "We don't need her charity." "Mom," Brittany said quietly, "she could buy and sell us." "That's not charity, that's connection." I didn't stay to hear Victoria's response, but as I stood on the brownstone steps, calling an Uber to take me back to my Brooklyn apartment, my beautiful hard-won apartment with its view of the bridge and walls covered in my mother's paintings, my phone lit up with messages. My CFO, congratulations on Forbes. Champagne's chilling for tomorrow. My best friend, FORBES 30 under 30. I'm screaming. Your mom would be so proud. My team, we saw the announcement. You deserve this. And then, unexpectedly, a text from an unknown number. This is Brittany. I'm sorry. For all of it, you were right. We never gave you a chance. Would you maybe consider coffee sometime? I'd like to know my sister, the real one. I stared at the message for a long moment before typing back. Coffee sounds good, but I picked the place. And it's in Brooklyn. Deal? An area? Congratulations. You've amounted to everything. As my Uber pulled up, I took one last look at the brownstone. Through the dining room window, I could see my father gesturing animatedly while Victoria sat rigid in her chair. Brandon was still on his phone, probably deep diving into everything he'd missed about his stepsister's life. They'd spend the rest of the night dissecting what had just happened. Victoria would spin it to make herself the victim. My father would wrestle with his guilt. The twins would recalibrate their worldview to include the possibility that success could wear Converse instead of Louboutins. But I wouldn't be there for any of it. I had a CNN interview to prepare for, a company to run, a legacy to build. And for the first time in 8 years, I was perfectly fine with being exactly who my stepmother said I'd never be. Something. Actually, scratch that. Everything.